Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Greg Show. I'm in Walworth, Wisconsin, and I'm going to go see Frank the Butcher at Johnstown Meat Company. And I'm going to turn this camera around and show you the outside of the building, and then we're going to go in and meet Frank the Butcher. He's a pretty cool guy, and I think you guys are going to enjoy him. So stick around and get ready for a good show. That's where we're going to go, right there. It's Johnstown Meat Company. It's not in Johnstown, it's downtown Walworth, Wisconsin on the square. I'll give you a little view around the area here. It's a very, very small town. It's a little square you drive around here. Let's get in there and go talk to Frank. Hi Frank.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
I appreciate you letting me come in here and talking to us.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, man. We're always here.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so, you want to know about me, about the shop, about how I came?
Both.
Okay. So my name is Francisco Herrera, and I was born in a small town in Panama, Chico, Mexico.
Okay.
And it's I was born into a lot of poverty, so we didn't have a lot. My parents decided that they were going to come and bring me here because this is America, and this is where everybody wants to be. This is where everybody wants to be. So they came here. They brought me here when I was like 1.5, maybe 2 years old. I started school in Harvard, Illinois, and I went there for the duration, until I graduated from high school. After high school, I was looking for a job, and I kind of worked myself through everything. I wasn't the greatest student. I was honestly kind of like an underdog in life. Graduated, kind of worked myself through in the restaurant business. Had an uncle that had a restaurant, so I was able to bus tables really young. We didn't have a lot growing up, so for me, being able to work and help out was awesome. Whenever I got my paycheck, it was just really cool to be able to treat my family to dinner out and stuff like that. Okay. So I kind of just, how do I say this? I kind of just found that, that once I started earning a little bit of money and seeing that I could help my family, I just really liked it, and I just continued working until I graduated. After graduation, I got a job at Sorg's, which is right up the road, and I worked there for about 8 years. I kind of learned everything there, and that's where I met the man that owned Johnstown Meats.
Okay,
so,
now just so everybody knows, Swords, people are from not this area. Swords is another meat package.
Yeah, Sorg's is a meat packaging place up the road. It's bigger, it's been around for I think a couple generations at least, and they're really cool people. They gave me an opportunity to work. They taught me how to do everything. I was like the kid there. I was 18 years old. I believe like the second youngest guy was like 36, so roughly double my age. Okay. So I learned from all these old school butchers that, it was intimidating at first because these guys have big forearms, they years of being butchers and they know how to do everything the old way. Everything from the kill floor all the way through the whole process. So I can take a whole animal from, live to, packaged and ground beef or whatever the customer wants. And, there's not a lot of people that know how to do that anymore. A lot of, stores in the area, they're just box stores. Everything is, brought in a box and they just break it down and they don't, but the whole breaking down of the animal, that's where everything is more complicated. So I learned how to do everything there. They had a man named Dale come in and help them. He was a family friend, and he used to help them out on the holidays, because he was retired. And, it was just kind of destiny. Me and him ended up cutting meat across the table from each other. And that's how I found out that Dale had Johnstown Meats in Janesville, Wisconsin, the original. We kind of just started talking about it, and I kind of jokingly said hey, you should show it to me. I'll buy it, But at the time, I'm maybe 24 years old, So he comes back and he's like, yeah, we're gonna sell it to you. And it was just kind of oh, I don't really have the money. It was just kind of a thing that I'm saying. We're talking, we're working here, And he told me, we'll help you with financing, we'll help you with all that. And that's how we started at Johnstown in,
That's cool.
Yeah. So years later, we opened this one up, maybe 4 years later.
So what I heard from your website is you're going to eventually close the Johnstown store now, but you have another store in Janesville, is that correct?
No. So we're closing The one in Johnstown. That we call that one the Janesville store because it's technically a Janesville address.
All right.
And what we're hoping to do is get a location in Lake Geneva or in Harvard, Illinois. There's two different options there. But obviously that building is going up for sale in the middle of March, and we're going to get some revenue because everything costs money, and we'll see where we go from there.
And just so everybody knows I'm here, that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, it's in the middle, like 5-10 miles from anything really. So that's just a processing center, and we were very successful there for a long time, but things just got really difficult with finding help. And with that being a place where most of our business is processing, that's where like the heavy lifting comes in when you're a cutter. So with that being without being able to find help, it doesn't really work. I'm from Harvard, which is like 45 minutes away. All my employees drive there every single day. So if I get a place over there, you know, growing up there, I know people. I can find work. It's hard to find work almost an hour away from your hometown where you don't know anybody. Yeah.
Another thing you were mentioning is that you're starting to talk to some local business owners when you said you're kind of getting a few together.
Yeah. So one of my things that I want to do is I want to start like a little mastermind, a project, something I read about recently, and it's where we get a couple business owners together and we kind of just shoot ideas back and forth. Like, hey, what's working for you with advertising? What's working for you? Just so we can all kind of come up together, you know. Because I'm sure there's things that they've done that have worked. I'm sure there's things that I've done that can help them out, and just kind of holding ourselves accountable for our growth. You know,
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Other business owners in other areas, other cities should do the same thing.
Yeah. Setting up because it's so easy as a business owner, you get stuck in the day to day. If I tell you I'm going to do something and I'm going to increase my volume of sales by 10%, there's no accountability being the owner. I mean, it's great to do it, but if next month I know we're meeting and you're going to ask me about it, it's going to give me a little bit more of an incentive to do it, and help everybody out, So,
one thing, didn't you mention something on your Facebook about internet sales or something?
Yeah, we have a webpage, Johnstown.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, johnstowbfoodcenter.com. johnstowbfoodcenter.com. You can order our packages on there and all of that, so,
I'll get all your information and put all the information in the description of this video so people can find your phone number and all that stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Johnstown Meats is really an opportunity that I was given by somebody, and this is an opportunity that I'm going to try to take and grow as much as I can. The difference between me and a lot of other shops around the area is that a lot of these shops have been around for generations, which is very respectable. New meat shops are not opening. They don't exist. They don't open anymore. For someone to want to start a meat shop and to get together the revenue and all of that, it's almost impossible nowadays. So, that's the big difference. And this is me funded all by hard work. Literally, I am the underdog. There is no bank loans. It's everything that I have here, like my equipment and everything like that. Like if I need the freezer that you see up front, I went and I ripped that out of a dungeon, brought it and built it here myself, and then bought the components and the refrigeration. The inside components are new, but there's a big difference between starting off. So when you come and you buy from me, you're really helping somebody that's starting the American dream, and hopefully, I'm not trying to talk bad about the other places because that's what I want to be. I'd be foolish to be like, oh no, I want my kids to have advantages, and I want to set up where they don't have to work as hard and it's set up and things like that. And that's hopefully
pass it down.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. At Sorg's, the whole family works there. Grandchildren, that's really cool. I want my kids to work with me. I want,
That's good.
Yeah.
On your internet site, is that just a sales and then the person has to come here and pick it up? Or?
Yes. So for now, we are going to have a delivery route. That's why we're closing the store in Janesville, because most of our sales are those meat packages, quarter beefs, things like that. So us having the store in Janesville doesn't really help us out just because I split my staff. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy a small refrigerated van, wrap it, and now we can deliver into Janesville. Still keep our customer base out there because, like I said, that's what they're buying anyway.
Okay.
But without the overhead. So,
And another thing I noticed, you mentioned you were selling knives that you use to cut meat, and you have them for sale to customers also?
Yes. So we have knives, the boning knives. I have a couple right here. So we have like these are good for like staking things out. This is a boning knife. We're gonna have the steels come in here. We also have like the chef knives. They're really good knives. And I don't know if you've ever tried to cut something at home and pulled something out of the cupboard and you just mash the potato into the table instead of, you know.
Yeah, nice knife, nice.
It makes a difference, you know. So especially, you know, when you have it all the time. And one more thing I want to mention is we're also just right now entering into a program. It's a certified Hereford beef where we're going to be buying all of our meat from right here, ranchers in Wisconsin. So we're going to be the only person in the area that's going to be selling this stuff, and it's all upper 2/3 or prime, and it's all, when you buy from us, you're going to be buying directly from Wisconsin ranchers. And I think that's really important. We're trying to keep everything local here. I think we want to get support, and we tell people to support local, and I think we'd be hypocritical to not support local ourselves, you know? So that's one thing that we're really proud of, hopefully in the near future.
When you were younger, did you ever think if you'd ever be a butcher?
Honestly, no, I never did. So I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like I said, I wasn't a great student.
Yeah.
I honestly probably thought I'd spend most of my life working in a restaurant business just because that's what my father did. And my uncle had a restaurant. And that's what I thought I was gonna end up doing most of my life. But this opportunity presented itself, and honestly, I think I could work at anything as long as I can talk to people. Like that's my. You know, that's
You're very good at that. That's one reason I reached out for you.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. So like, you know, no matter what it is, as long as I get to deal with people. I know some people rather be like in a factory in the back and not talk to people, but I'm not like that, you know. I rather, you know, talk to people and.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've done along the way to get to this spot where you're at that you would do differently?
There's probably a million things, you know, because like I never went to business school, so everything that I've done I've learned by making mistakes.
Yeah.
So there's been so many times where, you know, I guess one big thing that happens a lot with small businesses, like let's say I order in a certain product and it sells really fast, and I kind of get like greedy, oh, I better order double the amount, and then next week I get stuck with it.
Yeah.
So there's been so many times where I lose money because you just don't know, you know. And with meat, it's a little bit harder than it is with anything else because you're on a time clock.
Yeah.
The minute it comes into your building, you got a very limited amount of time to get that out the door to the customer, so it's the best that you can give them, you know. So, yeah.
If you had a choice of being a butcher or something else, would it have been something else? I mean, if somebody gave you a chance to get into a business the same way you kind of.
Well, I have multiple businesses. I have other
you do?
businesses as well. Yeah, I have a soft washing company where we wash like the algae and mold off people's homes and stuff in the
I didn't
summer.
know that.
Yeah, so we do that. And you know, I've done other things in the past, you know, and even now, I mean, you know, when I'm open to everything, you know. What I really wanted to do growing up was I wanted to be a fighter, a cage fighter, and I got to do that for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you know, with kids and with all of that, so you know, I got to fight a little bit, and so I got to live my dream on a small level. That's what I really wanted to do, but you know, when you train and you do all that, you know, it really, even though I didn't become a fighter, like everybody has to be a fighter in life every day, you know, so you know, you get that mental toughness, and I think if you're going to be a business owner, being mentally tough is so important, you know, because there's so many times where things aren't going right, and that's where a lot of businesses go out of business. They lose the faith and they lose so, I mean, it transferred, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I still consider myself a fighter,
That's
just in a
pretty
different
cool.
arena, so, yeah.
One thing I have to ask you is, I know a lot of businesses are having problems because there's so much regulations put on them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of stuff put on you?
So this is a retail location here, so it's not as bad as when you're processing meat.
Okay.
When you're processing meat, I believe it's very excessive. So there's an inspector there every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day watching you. It's not necessarily an inspector that's ever worked in it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's someone that read a book or was taught something. So I think that that's a problem. I think it should be somebody that's worked in the industry,
Yeah.
you know. There's so many rules and regulations. For instance, for me to like make a HACCP program, which means like if I want to grind beef and sell it commercially, you almost have to have a degree in science. Your plan has to be like 300 pages long. It's excessive.
It's crazy.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not just like I got to keep these temperature controls. You have to have scientific back data on why, and I think that's like, well, that's not really my business. Like, my business is to make sure that everything's done safely.
Yeah.
There's logs, and I mean, I've gotten in trouble for labeling a broth, and not a bratwurst.
Oh.
And I feel like things like that are just like nitpicking,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's a little bit like, you know, too much, you know?
Okay.
So I understand public safety and everything, but I mean, if everything's cleanly, if it comes down to just like the misspelling of a word or something, that
Yeah.
shouldn't be something that, you know? So.
Right. And then you kind of mentioned you maybe would be able to cut some meat in front of us.
Yeah,
Is that
definitely.
something you do?
Definitely.
Okay, before we go there, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or mention?
No, I just want to say thank you guys to everybody. Follow our Facebook page, which is Johnstown Meat Company in Walworth. So Johnstown Meat Co. Walworth. We have, I think, 2.6 million views on our videos this year alone, and that's us. We're breaking stuff down, and I'm going to continue to make videos like that. We're reaching people from all over the world. So thank you guys. You know, we appreciate it. We're a small business, and we're just getting started. So I know you guys have options on where you guys purchase your stuff, on where you spend your money. So when you guys do spend your money with us, it's not lost. You know, sometimes somebody will place an order, and as soon as I hang up, I do a little jig and I dance around just because, like, I know that I'm gonna, you know, it's wrestling shoes for my kids, or it's, you know, it's not just extra money, you know. So
I've bought meat here probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say one of the biggest things that brings me here is the package deals that you have.
yeah,
And I think that's a great thing, the way you have it packaged.
yes,
People can pick out, like, I want package 1 or I want package 2, and it comes with all this different stuff. And I just think that's a very good idea, and I hope you keep doing that.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important. You save a lot of money that way. You fill your freezer. It stops you from going down the cold to do grocery shopping all the time, and it's a great way to save money.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, if there's nothing else you want
No,
to talk
that's
about
it.
right now, I'll come over there
All
and
right.
watch you cut some meat.
So this is a top sirloin. This is a retail ready top sirloin. This is a box cut. So like I mentioned before, we do break down entire beef, but this is a box cut. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off all of this connective tissue, all this silver skin and fat. I'm going to trim that up real nice. And then I'm going to show you guys there's a seam right here. It almost pulls apart. And that works the same with a lot of these muscle groups. So I'll seam it out. There you go. Then we're going to trim this part. This is where you get the steaks from. Some places go ahead and they cut this. Hold on. Yeah, cut this with the top on. The problem is that the how do I say this? The grain on this meat runs perpendicular to this meat. So if I cut it that way with that on, that part will be extremely tough, and this part will be tender. So instead of that, I trim that up, and people use that as a roast. So. There you go.
You tell you've done a lot of this.
Yeah, I've been doing this for honestly over half my life now. So, and this is where you get your sirloin steaks.
And you're young yet.
Yeah, so yeah, a little not as young as I look, I think.
But I mean, you look like you could be doing this for another 50 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. I plan to do this until I retire. So, look at these. These are the butt steaks or top sirloin steaks.
You know how fast that took, just like just a couple minutes. And
Yeah, so there's no waste that goes on here. This ends up being a nice roast. All of the things that can't be steaks end up being stew meat, and then the fat we actually either grind for beef tallow so people can take it home and render it, or we sell it to a company that makes like lotions and soaps and all that type of stuff. So there's no waste. So
okay.
Yep.
Well, that was fast.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
So-
Well, I want to thank you again for being on my show.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure our viewers will enjoy it. So,
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, and you have a great day.
and hopefully it'll bring you some customers.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know when it's up. I'll share it.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.